Welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent.
Steve, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Friday at 4. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you, Chuck?
Hanging in there. It's been one of those wild roller coaster whirlwind kind of weeks.
But it wouldn't be fun if it was just the same thing every day. So, okay.
I tell my kids that all the time. It's like life would be boring if it was just the same thing. Think about how
Really?
crazy life is and why you do what you do. And they just look at me like, Dad, you're crazy.
No, I don't call it crazy. I call it more experienced.
There you go.
At
Season.
least that's my take on it. I don't know, good or
Yeah,
bad, who
right.
knows? But it sounds really good. So, okay.
Yeah, right. Well, let's get started here. We're getting into our time here. Priorities. Why most people say one thing and then prioritize another. So, are your priorities helping you move forward or quietly holding you back? What do you think? Good topic, by the way.
It's a very good topic. It kind of starts, and I've had huge amounts of experience in priorities that come and go, which is not exactly the definition of a priority. Um, but there's priorities should be, in theory, what you need to do first, second, third. And of all the things that we need to get done, what do you need to get done now? Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with that. First, and I shouldn't say the first, one of the things is what may be important today may not be important tomorrow. So it's a priority today, but what about tomorrow? So, again, it's conflicting. So one of the things to really think about, and I heard this today is Friday. Of course, today's Friday. I heard this on a silly statement, but okay. But think I heard this was Wednesday. And somebody was talking about priorities. And what they said is when you figure out, let's say you have 20 things to do, you really have to sit and figure out and really look at it. What are my top 3 to 5? Now, if those 5 are really big, make it 3. But those are the 3 that you have to focus on regardless of what happens, what day it is, what else comes along. Those are the 3 that are going to make or break you, business or personal. Got to focus.
Yeah.
And when other things come along and like, hey, Steve, you got to do this. Hey, Steve, you got to do that. Chuck, you got to do this. You got to be strong and sit back and say, no, I've looked at everything. This is what's in my life today. This is what I need to focus on to help me, business or personal. And I can't do anything else until the 3 are done. And you got to focus. And I'm getting better, but I had, again, much worse problem of procrastination, as many people do, which is not a good thing. And for a long
I
time,
do that sometimes. I stare at the screen and go, I know I got all these things to do, but you know what? Let's just play a game.
yeah. And
It
for a
happens.
long time, I would sit there and say, I'm going to do it in an hour. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to get it done. And then an hour comes along, tomorrow comes along, and something else happens, and that doesn't get done. And forgive my language, but when I shouldn't say you, me, I'm talking to me. Um, in many cases, when I don't do what I know I have to and prioritize, bites me in the ass every single time. So when I sit there and I come down to my computer every morning and I look at what I need to do for the day, and other things, of course, pop up, I
Yeah.
always now say to myself, what do I have to get done? Because if it's on my calendar, it's things I need to get. That's the way I now train my brain. If it's in my calendar today, I need to get it done today.
Yeah.
And if I start getting busy, I really stop and sit back and say, if I don't get it done, it's going to come back and bite me today, tomorrow, next week, next month. It's going to come back and bite me. And when we give our word to somebody to do something, whatever that is, they're counting on you to do that. And when you get it done, that's great for yourself and it's great for the other person. But when you don't get it done because now you're sidetracked, the other person who was depending on you now has some other priority you're not aware of that
Right.
needed you to get it done. So when you don't, they look silly. It only sometimes takes once for somebody to walk away and never work with you again.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't care about the other person, that's one thing. But if you have integrity and your reputation, because you also don't know that if I promise something to Chuck and Chuck's depending on that and I don't deliver, now Chuck looks silly to somebody else. How do I really know who Chuck's talking to about me?
Yeah.
And that's why I said your reputation, your integrity is everything.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question for you. My calendar right now is used for bills.
Okay.
They're my priorities, right? Bills. You gotta pay
Okay.
bills, Hey,
Yeah.
it's how it is. But I want to steer just a little bit in a little bit different direction real fast. I know we're trying to keep on track with time here, but
No, no, go ahead.
priorities versus goals.
Hmm.
It's a great statement, right? So you got goals, but then you got priorities. How do you think those two work together? Because you've got these goals you want to accomplish, but those goals bring priorities. Do you prioritize goals or are your goals your priorities, right? I think those two can intertwine, but also people can mix them up, correct?
They can. And so my take on it, and again, right or wrong, and there's opinions for everything, but my take on it is you set a goal. And my goal is that I want to work with 10 families this week. The priority has to be that if I want 10 in a week, I need, let's say, one and a half clients a day, or let's round it up. Some days one, some days two. So the priority has to be I'm going to work with one client on Monday, two on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, two on Thursday. So at the end of the week, my goal is met. But if I don't take each of those days, again, one here, two there, and prioritize to get it done, I may not because other things will take its place.
Right.
And when other things take its place, now if I don't do Monday, that means instead of one on Monday, now I need to do three on Tuesday. But I don't know what Tuesday's going to bring. So if Tuesday's no good, that means I got to do like four or five on Wednesday. And if I'm going to keep pushing things off because my priorities change, will I make my goal? And I can control my time, but I can't control yours. So as a client or one of 10 clients to make my goal for the week, I can't say, oh, Chuck, it's Saturday. I need you to talk to me today because I got to talk to 10 people by tomorrow.
Yeah.
And what if Chuck sits there and says, I'm busy today? Or what if Chuck's not so nice and say, your problem and hangs up the phone?
Right. Forget it.
Right?
But
Then I got a bigger
right.
problem because I was
Yeah.
counting on Chuck and now he's not there. And he may never be there because he knows I'm using him for
Yeah.
some other purpose. So why would he work with me ever again?
Yep. And I'm glad you mentioned it that way because that was my next statement was going to be. I had this conversation twice this week, once yesterday and the day before yesterday, concerning time management,
Hmm.
time prioritizing. And I let this person know that time is the only thing that you can't get back. Once it's gone,
Correct.
it's gone. And we've
Correct.
talked about this on a couple of episodes. We mentioned time, prioritizing and time. But I think it's good to let people know that, you know, time is precious. If you don't prioritize properly with goals, all three of those things can collapse. And then you get nothing done. Because then you get what I get, become a couch potato. You veg in front of the TV with a clicker in your hand and you get nothing done because it happens.
Correct. Time, yes, time is precious. We know this. So, as a suggestion, and I do this on my own calendar. And again, if it's in my calendar, it gets done. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't get done. That's the way I stay on track. But what I do every day is I have time blocked out for lunch. I have time blocked out for dinner. And that's my chance to do whatever I want during the day. So if I need to get up from the computer and take a walk around the block to clear the brain, or I need to do some exercises to wake up a little bit, I do that during those lunch and dinner breaks.
Right.
So I know that I can, to your point, if I really need to get away from the computer, I take the hour, I go upstairs, I turn on the boob tube, or better known as the TV, and I sit on the couch and I veg for an hour, or I take an hour nap and I set the alarm on my phone. That's how I get to do a little bit of what I want and a lot of what I need to get done. That's how I manage my day. Is it perfect? No, but I am absolutely working my way towards that. And I'm much better today than I was 3 months, 6 months, a year ago. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this before in a couple episodes back where we had talked about goals. I think we talked about
Mhm.
goals pretty deep. And you just struck me to I think I mentioned this to you that I want to use the calendar more and use it better so it keeps me on track and keeps me
Mhm.
honest with myself because that's one of my struggles right now is prioritizing the goals that I need to get done for the business to
Mhm.
push me forward, to get me moving in the direction I want to go. And having this conversation just now really hit home for me on how I can structure that calendar now to do what I need to do. So thank you for this topic today for this episode and talk about this because I think now that I see a little more clearly of how to make that happen. And I would love to, say to the audience, whoever's watching this episode, reach out to Steve or I and say, hey, look, I want to try to make this happen. I want to use my calendar to prioritize things to make my life better and easier. I know you're way better at it than I am, and I'm just going to be getting started. But I think as I do this, starting tonight, I'm going to get a piece of paper and start jotting out how I want this to look.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to reach back out to you and say, Steve, look at this. What do you think? Give me your thoughts on how you think these priorities of my goals looks versus what I'm trying to accomplish and see what that happens. Because that's the ultimate goal, right? Is you want to accomplish the goals at hand, those tasks that you're trying to get done. And if you can't prioritize and get the right tasks and right goals where you need to be, and how are you ever going to get anywhere? You're going to get frustrated like I do, and you get nothing done because you look at a blank calendar or you look at all these bills on your calendar and you go, well, now it's just a calendar of bills. And I get depressed and like, just close it and be done. So to avoid that, right, do what you do, right? Set up that calendar with everything on that you need to get done. If it's not there, it doesn't get done.
So we're going to give two things. We'll talk about the calendar first, and then I'll go into something else. So it took some time and some mistakes, but I finally figured out, again, what works for me
Sure.
is I looked at my calendar, and again, everything I have to do is on that calendar. And for a long time, I was spending the vast majority of my time helping other people with their
Oh, you
work.
said that.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
and I've said this before, and that's
Hmm.
okay because I'm a people person. I truly want to help other people.
Sure.
But I realized By doing that, I'm sacrificing my own goals, my own priorities, and I'm not getting my work done. And my day was stretching. And I was working from 8 a.m. to sometimes midnight because those last few hours are trying to get my stuff done. Now, while I might get it done, number one, I'm exhausted. And number two, if I need to reach out to Chuck because I have a question, I can't call Chuck at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. That's not fair to him because I was working on other people's work during the day, not getting my work done when other people I needed were available but are not at night. So now I went through my calendar and I really took a good, hard, honest look at everything that was on that calendar. And I believe the term is money generating activities. So I looked at every single item on that calendar. Was it helping my business? Was it helping me? And if not, delete, 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 delete. And I must have freed up well over 20 hours a week.
It's impressive.
Yeah, well
Yeah.
over. And then I started to replace now those open spots with stuff that's going to move my business and my personal life. Now,
Yeah.
yes, my days are still not till midnight, but my days are still sometimes till 9, 10 o'clock at night. But that's my own choice. But I'm more focused on what I need. So I've set my goals. I've set my priorities to achieve those goals. And that's how I stay on target. Now, yes, every so often something unplanned comes along. But then I got to sit there and say, again, is it money generating activities or is it a nice to have for somebody else? And that's what I do. And it's taken me a long time. This is not something you're going to figure out overnight, but start somewhere.
Yeah.
What is? So in your case, you could sit there and say, I'm going to do my normal daily stuff from whatever time in the morning you wake up until 3, 4, 5 o'clock. And then after that, you focus on the business. So you need time to take this podcast and do whatever your magic you do, because I have no clue what you do, but I just know it comes out great. Whatever you do with this podcast and then publish it. Then I know you go out and you visit different locations and film and put your once a month, um, video together. Prioritize every day, 30 minutes, 60 minutes. One day, maybe for 3 hours, you go out and visit the place. Maybe the next day you spend an hour doing something, and the next day an hour, and the next day an hour. Within 3, 4, 5 days, it's done. But it's time blocked. And when it's done, and you now have that extra time until the next video that you have to do, that extra open time could be whatever you need to fill it in with. Could be
Yeah.
more business, could be more personal to relax because you need once in a while, you do need to relax and just veg and catch up on your sleep and whatever else you need to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's how you get started. But I'd be more than happy to help you and look at anything you do and anybody that we're talking to on this podcast.
Yeah.
If you want me to help, look at something totally judgment-free zone. I'm not really going to ask you any deep questions because what's on there is your personal stuff. But I will ask you, is this money generating or is this a nice to have?
Right. I think I think that's a good point you brought up. Is it money generating or not? Because you could throw a lot of stuff on the calendar
Mm,
about things to do, but they're really not helping anything but other people, which is okay, to help other
mhm.
people. But you also got to find the time to get those money generating activities in there so you can push yourself forward hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, so you can get to those goals that you're trying to accomplish. And as I sit here and reflect back, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm reflecting back in my mind of where I was and where I am, which is night and day. I still got a long way to go, obviously, but I know where I want to be. That is a clear line that I have drawn. Is I know what I want. I know where I want to be. Now I need to sit down and break down those priorities and goals. How do I get to that? And that's something I really have never really put the time and effort into doing. So I think this is going to help. This podcast really opened me up to see, where I'm failing. And I appreciate that.
Right. So let's just say, as the example, you have this podcast and again, you do your magic, and at the end, you publish out the end result, the video. So the first step is to list down everything step by step of what you need to get done. So let's say there's 10 steps in the middle. Now, of those 10 steps, put them on your calendar. So maybe you do, depending on, again, your time frame to get it done. Let's
Sure.
say you have a week to get it done. So maybe on day one, you do the first 2 steps. On day two, you do 2 steps. Maybe you take the next day off because you need to clear the brain. Then you come back and do another one or two. So you're not overwhelming yourself on any one day, but you've got everything listed on the calendar. So if you start the day you say you're going to start and you stay to the schedule, you will finish on the day you say you need to finish. So by breaking it up, you could now have less stress on a daily basis, which gives you more time to do other things.
Well, yeah. The problem I have is that I start looking at the end result, always begin with the end in mind.
Mhm.
I look at that and then I get frustrated because it's a big goal I have. It's a big, big end goal.
Okay.
And then I start breaking down and looking at all the things that need to be done, and I just get frustrated and stop at that point. And then I just muddle through with my day trying to figure things out. This at this point right here has given me that umph, that edge, that push to say, break it down to these steps and then get on your calendar and hold myself accountable. And we talked about that too, holding yourself
Mhm.
accountable, to making those goals happen on a daily basis because I have not been doing that. And you and I talked about it where I want to have a goal of at least contacting 1 to 3 people a day, for my show. And I haven't done that.
Mm.
It doesn't get done. There's so much that goes on
Right.
with everything that's happening right now that doesn't get done. I think that's one of my
Mm.
priorities that need to get done is I got to really start getting it on that calendar and say, contact this person, contact this person, contact this person. And if you don't do these 3 today, that's 6 tomorrow. If you don't do it today, that's 9 the next day. And then it's going to start compounding
Right.
and then it's
And
going
then
to
it
be trouble
becomes
time.
overwhelming and you don't do it.
And then I get nowhere because I don't do any of it.
Yeah. So one of the
Yeah.
things, and I've heard this before, and again, I do it with and whatever myself.
Hmm.
In your case, to use the example you just said, I need to contact 1 to 3 a day, every day. When you do that, pat yourself on the back. Celebrate the small wins.
Small wins.
You've heard the statement, and I'm sure you've heard the statement, you can't eat or how do you eat an elephant? And the answer
That's
is
actually a book,
bite at a
right?
time.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. If you're going to eat an elephant, take a bite, pat yourself on the back, you took a bite. The next day, pat yourself on the back. Next day, next day, next day. But if you wait to eat the whole foot because you missed a couple of days, you'll never get it done. It's overwhelming. So
It
do a
really is.
piece every day and celebrate the wins because the sense of accomplishment of, yeah, it may only be 1 to 3, but you did it.
Yeah.
You did it. And
Yeah.
if you do that enough days in a row, you will set the habit
Huh?
and then you'll do it every day. And now in your mind, it's expected. No more
Right.
excuses. You will
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. I think too, there's a lot of moving parts to what I'm doing, and not just from my life perspective and
Mhm.
business perspective. There's a lot of moving parts to what I'm doing. And that's where I get overwhelmed because to see all these things that need to happen,
Mhm.
then I get overwhelmed with, it's just so much. And I just stop. Rather than doing what you're doing, put these priorities on your calendar of daily things to get you to that goal. Pick a goal, prioritize what you got to do daily to get to that goal. And then hold yourself accountable to get to that goal by what date and put on a calendar and say, oh, this date you should be here,
Yeah. So
And yeah,
if you know that you have a goal, let's say it's a 30-day goal and it's huge, break that goal into 4 pieces, which are 4 weeks.
right.
Within each of those weeks, take a little piece on your calendar every day. And the initial goal, short term, is daily. The next goal is the end of the week. Did I make my 1 week goal? Then did I make my 2 week goal? Then my 3 week goal? By doing that, if you're on schedule, great, pat yourself on the back. You really should. If you don't, then you know you have to step it up in week 2.
Mhm.
But the goal in week 2 is to catch up. So you don't have to take 1 and 2 into week 3.
Yeah.
That's where up here you start to
Mhm.
play games with your own mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So take that little bit, break the month into 4 weeks, break each week into days. It's a
Yeah.
little bit upfront, but then it becomes manageable.
And it becomes habit. You'll just start
Oh,
getting a habit of saying things on the calendar and getting things accomplished because you're now
absolutely does.
marking
Yeah,
it down.
it
Yeah.
does. It does work. I've done it. It does work.
Well, I'm going to tell you, here's Friday. I'm going to give myself 2 days,
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday. On Monday, I'm going to put a note on my calendar on Monday to remind me Monday morning to say, did you set yourself up to start this week with your goals like you told yourself on
Mhm.
Friday? Because I'm going to take these next 2 days, tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday, to really start working on this game plan that I'm going to do that I'll talk to you about, after the
So,
podcast.
so you don't wait till Monday morning. You do it Sunday night.
Mhm.
Sunday night, you set the week. So when you wake up Monday morning, your week's all set.
Yeah.
Sunday night, take a half hour, take an hour Sunday night and say, okay, what do I really need to do next week?
Yeah.
And lay it out by the day. Get your calendar up
Yeah.
and put everything in and start putting in. If things don't work, move things around.
Yeah. I want to
So,
talk to you after the show about this because I want your input and your help on how
mhm.
to prioritize what my goal is going to be to upcoming because I have something in mind. I want your thoughts on how to make it happen. And I
Okay.
think you're probably the guy to make it happen.
Yeah, we'll talk
So
about it.
we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
talk about it. I
Yeah.
I'm excited. I like where I'm headed. I like what I'm working on. I like how
Good.
this week has opened my mind
Hmm.
to a lot of different things that I could, should, and will be doing,
Hmm.
going forward. I think I let the time overwhelm me to where I just not gave up, but close to just being flatlined as well. Just keep going through the motions and wait for something to break. And you
That's right.
can't do that. It's not going to work.
No.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
We're back to the same thing. Time is going to go anyway.
Exactly.
If it's planned, and again, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time to perfect what you're trying to do in the process. And okay,
Yeah,
but if you do it right, you're going to find you have time in your schedule to do what you want to do.
yeah,
That's that hour lunch that break that I have in there. That's that hour dinner break that I have in there. It gives me that time to get away from the computer, go take a walk, go take a nap, whatever I want to do during the day, and not impact my other things that have to get done.
yeah.
That's why I do it that
Absolutely.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. What a great episode. I really like this topic.
Yeah,
Again, every episode we do, we always continue with so much more topic with these things because
it
there's so
is.
much more to talk about to go in depth with these. But I think we should start doing that, looking back at some episodes and start like piggybacking off of and say, hey, how do we expand on this topic
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
we've talked about a lot, in 93 episodes, well, this is our 93rd episode in 92 episodes, but
Wow.
I think we could really start
Yeah.
diving deeper into some things that we've talked about. And in
Mhm.
this one, I want to start with this one. So I think next week we should piggyback off of this one
Yeah.
and say priorities. Let's catch up next Friday and say, hey, Steve, hold Chuck accountable. Did he make happen this week what he said was going to happen? And let's talk about how we did it. Did it work? Did the calendar work? Did my prioritizing my
Yeah.
time work? Did I really make it happen? And I think our audience would probably benefit from that, right? Because then they can see
Yeah.
real time,
Correct.
as we record this and talk
Correct.
about putting something into motion that we actually talk about, not just saying what we help people with, but actually
Right.
doing what we say we're going to do and see
Yes.
how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. One day, maybe next week, whatever, I'll pull up my calendar and I'll show you. I put everything in. I color code things because they mean different things, and I'll show you what my calendar looks like. And it's pretty wild.
He said it's pretty wild.
But
Only
again,
Steve's mind understands it.
I do it for a reason because it
Yeah.
keeps me on track. It shows me where I'm overbooked. It shows me days where I may have open spots that I can fit in an unexpected or unplanned activity. Because the last thing I want to do is have somebody call me and they say to me, "Can you help me?" And I look at my calendar and I'm booked for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know,
Tell him
again,
Chuck's way. His counter's blank.
but to have that extra hour here, 2 hours there allows me to slot something in
Yeah.
and still,
Yeah.
and again, it's also a matter of prioritizing who's asking you and what they're asking you.
Yeah.
If it's something
Yep.
off the wall, you may say, "I'm sorry, I'm busy." But if it's something that's really going to benefit, then you may say, "Okay, I can give you 30 minutes or I can give you an hour." And that's
Yeah.
all you're getting. So give me what
Yep.
you need. Let's focus. And then you're on your own.
Yep. And like right now, I'm prioritizing that time, right, on a Friday at 4 because
It's 4 o'clock somewhere. Good lead in, by the
perfect
way.
time.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Perfect segue,
I like
right?
that.
I'm getting
It's
good at that,
perfect.
learning how to segue that thing, man.
I like it.
Yeah. Steve, what another great podcast, man. Great episode. I love these conversations. They really, if anything, they really help me because I really listen to what you say. And I even listen to what I say because when I talk, I hear it, but I don't take action.
Got it.
And now this episode really struck me, man, to say, now I know what action I got to take because it's a two-part process with me now because I've got multiple goals, multiple priorities. And now
Okay.
I really got to hammer it down, man, and sit and focus and say, if I'm going to make this goal, now I got to do these priorities to get to this goal.
Right.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
thank you for this topic today. What a great
Pleasure.
podcast, man.
Good talk.
Love it.
Yeah. You got it.
So yeah, yeah. All right, man. Well, let's wrap this thing up and get on our way into the rest of our day and weekend. And
Yeah.
how's your week been? Pretty good.
The week's been busy. The week's been good.
Good.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to to a good weekend and starting up again on Monday.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this. Right after this podcast, I got to pull a piece of paper out of my printer here and start writing it down. I got something I want to share with you, man, and we'll see how it goes. I'm excited.
Yeah,
So
good, good. Definitely
yeah,
want to hear it.
appreciate it.
All
All
right,
right,
you
well,
got it.
enjoy the rest of the day. Have a great weekend, everybody, and
Yep,
we'll talk soon.
you got it. Take care, everyone.
Take
Thanks.
care, Steve.
Bye.
I'll tell everybody. Bye.
You've been watching the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent. Thanks for watching.